Alright, welcome back to Mazda OSR, old school rotaries. And I wanted to start off with the testing that we're going to be doing on the control panel. I want to start off with the map light and the map light switch. So I'm going to go ahead and start with this first because it was pretty obvious when I was taking it apart that one of the wires snapped off. And so it just needs some soldering, and hopefully that's the only problem or issue that this panel's having. So I'm gonna go ahead and test the housing first and make sure it's working properly, and from there we'll jump to the soldering the map light switch. All right, here we go. All right, so I got everything set up already. So it's a pretty simple setup. Pretty old school setup. I have a 12-volt battery, and from that 12-volt battery I obviously got the negative cable hooked up to it, and with some alligator clips, and I got the negative cable hooked up to the housing of the map light. You could grasp it anywhere you want, but I got it hooked up right there, and I got the positive hooked up to the battery, and I got a little just a little fuse just in case I do cross any wires. This housing won't get messed up. I'll have just the fuse pop or have the fuse go bad. But I do have this block here again, just for safety measures. That way the cables won't be hanging loose running around, or that way they won't touch each other and cause a shortage. Either way, I do have the fuse hooked up to it anyway, so it's pretty simple. All right, here we go. But before I get started, if you guys are planning on doing this, I would just highly recommend you guys not do it this way. I'm sure there's other safer ways to do it. Just do it at your own risk, or send it to the shop to get it tested, or whatnot. So yeah, here we go. So first we're gonna test this one. As you can see, the top light bulb turned on, and that would be, I guess, the green light. So there you go. So you can see that one's working, so that's great news. Now these two lines are positive lines, so if I hook this one up and this one's not working, oh wait, I guess my ground wasn't on there right, but there we go. Now that one's working, and that's the bottom white light. So you could cross these two because they're both for positive, but there they go. So yeah, it's working, and that's pretty much all there's to it. Kind of having issues with the bottom one. Oh, there it goes. So yeah, I need to definitely make sure. It might just be the light bulb though, because I don't think this thing's ever been opened since 1971 when the car was made. So I'm gonna say it's probably even the bulb, because there's no way to get these bulbs out of here unless you take the panel off, the whole control panel off. And the only way you could get these bulbs out is if you take this off first. So you can't take this cover off unless you take the whole panel off first. Once you take the whole panel off, then you remove it on these clips. I'm sure you guys remember from the last video, or the video prior to this one, where I had to take the whole panel off just to take this cover off, and then the bulbs are exposed. So quite honestly, I don't think these bulbs have ever been changed. So as you can see, you know, you kind of lightly tap on them, they're kind of acting up a little bit. But again, these are 50 years plus light bulbs. So okay, so here's the map light switch, and as you can see, it snapped off right here, and the reason being is because it somehow worked its way out of this little tiny bracket. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do first, before I solder this back, I'm gonna try to put this back into its place in this bracket, and then solder this. So here we go. Alright, so it's back on there, so now we could go ahead and solder this. But before I do, I want to go ahead and clean this up, and I knew this would come in handy someday. But yeah, just try to put it up on the stand, and I'm gonna go ahead and use the same solder that's already on there. And I think this stuff probably better than the solder they make nowadays. So just gonna try to clean it up as much as I can, and try to get these two welded together. Alright, and that's all there was to it. So yeah, it's on there pretty good. Just don't make them how they used to. So yeah, moving on to the next step and testing this out and see if it actually works. Alright, so I got my multimeter here, and I'm just gonna double check and make sure that that soldering it's true, and that there's actually power going through. Now it's stuck on there really good, it ain't going nowhere, but I just want to make sure there's power going through. So the voltmeter should read 12 volts or a little more or less, but as I put the positive on there, there we go, it's reading the 12 volts. So there's power obviously coming from the battery, but we want to see if it's getting to here. And it is, it's 12 volts. Now, and it's another 12 volts. So there's power going in and coming out. So the switch is working in that sense, but we want to see if it's actually turning off and on. So I'm gonna put it here, the power's going in, and it should be, multimeter is still reading 12, right? So as I click on it, it should turn off, and I kind of have my suspicions that it should stay at 0, but it's not staying at 0. It's not, there's no clicking. So I kind of knew it wasn't working properly, so what I'm gonna have to go ahead and do is just pop it open and see what's going on. Maybe it's just dirty, maybe there's just some maybe it's just stuck, who knows. So yeah, let's just go ahead and make sure it's clicking and working properly. Alright, so first I'm gonna go ahead and take this knob off, and that's all there's to it. It's just a real tight fit, and there's 3 pegs here, and just gonna go ahead and just loosen them up or straighten them out. Okay, so I had to stop the camera and make sure that, you know, I wasn't going to break anything, because it was a little hard to take off. But I did notice 2 little tabs right here. So there's a tab right here on this side, I don't know if the camera is capturing it, and there's another one on this side. So I already went ahead and kind of like straighten them out and do it a little more. Alright, and there it goes, it's out. It does look real dirty in here, so maybe it just needs a little cleaning. That's why it was maybe getting stuck. But this is what I really wanted to look at right here. So as you can see, it's like it's binded up. So And just try to put this back in here. And there we go. I'm not sure if this is supposed to spin or not, but so I need to figure this out, see how this works. Alright, so I finally figured out what was wrong with this thing and how this actually works. So this rectangular piece here has a plastic side and it has a copper side. So when you push the button in, this little rectangular piece needs to spin. So when you push it in, it turns the map light on and the copper pieces are making contact with the other copper pieces here, these 3 pins. As you go and you push the button again, the rectangular piece goes from this copper side to the plastic side, and therefore the power goes out because there's no current going to the other wire that lights up the map light. So when I pulled this out, it all came out as one unit, but it's not supposed to come out as one unit. It's supposed to be separate. So this somehow got binded in here, and I'm guessing somebody in the past or the previous owner, I don't know, just pushed it a little too hard and it got stuck in there. There was some play because there's a spring here. You see that? There's a little spring here, but there was some play. And this is supposed to spin freely too. So if I were to put this on the copper side, you'll see the multimeter actually give you the 12 volts. There go the 12 volts. Now if I were to mock the actual housing, as if I were pushing the button, I'm gonna go down and the little plastic rectangular piece will spin, and as you see, the numbers are starting to go down and it's going to eventually go down to 0. So obviously I'm not the housing, but if it were in the housing, it will actually go down to 0. So I'm yet to test that, but I figured out how that works. So I don't know if you guys could see it here. I'm just gonna push it down slightly, and you see how the copper piece just makes contact, and it's supposed to come back, spin, come back out, spin, and that's all it does. As you push, it just spins round and round and round in circles. It just spins. So as you push it in, this spins. You push it in, it spins. Off, on, off, and on. And this is what does all that, this little piece right here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and just kind of push it out a little bit, and it's pretty much set. It's just want to make sure I get it all right before I put it back in the housing. But yeah, that's how that works. Alright, so I just readjusted this, so this should work. And if you look at the multimeter, so I'm just gonna mock the housing again, and if you see the multimeter, it's at 12. Now it drops to 0. It's going back to 12, 0. Numbers are dropping. So there you go, that's the way it works. Now I'm just making sure that this spins freely. You want it to spin real nice and easy and freely. You don't want it binding, or else it's gonna have trouble spinning on here. So so now the moment of truth. I got the same basic setup over here. I have the positive hooked up to the positive side on the battery, 12-volt battery, and the negative hooked up to the negative on the multimeter. So let's just go ahead and get to it. I'm gonna go ahead and just turn on my multimeter, and it should read 12 volts obviously because it's coming from a battery. So there we go, we got 12 volts here. Should have 12 volts here. There we go, 12 volts. And I can't remember if it was on or off, but yeah, I'm not getting anything over here. So I got 12 volts here and I got nothing here. So let me go ahead and hit the button, and as you guys could, I don't know if you could hear it, but it's got a click now. So it should read 12 volts on both ends. So I should have 12 volts here. There we go, you can see it on there, it's 12 volts, and I should have 12 volts here. And there we go, 12 volts. So let me see here, I should get 12 volts here too. And there we go, 12 volts. So the switch is working properly now. Now I actually get a click when I push it in or push it out. That little rectangular piece is spinning the way it should as you press the button here. But I want to go ahead and show you guys with the actual light and see how that looks. Here we go. So I got the positive hooked up to the male end of this nap light switch, and again, positive current's gonna run in here, and then once you hit the button, it should come out right here, and it should light up one of these bolts. Again, these two are positive, so I'm gonna hook this one up first, and it should, let me see, this one should light up the top, and then once I hook this one up, it should light up the bottom. So I'm gonna hook this one on the other end, and let me hook up the ground first for a second. There we go, I got the ground hooked up. And again, just try to be careful and not shock yourself. Try to keep these lines set as far away from each other as you can. So here we go. So if I hit the button, it should turn this one on, and there we go. Sweet, it's on, off, on. And it wasn't doing that earlier because you know, we had to do a lot of adjustment and had to solder that back on there. So if we take this one off and connect this one here, that should light up the bottom one. And there we go, on, off. So I guess on the wiring harness, it's gonna give you an option, and there's relays obviously, but now they both light up because I have these two hooked up to it. So there they go. But if I were to put this on, and let me dim the lights, that's the bottom light. So that's illuminating the bottom light right there. And if I were to take this one off, that should light up the top, the green light. So, and if I put these two together, I light these two up. So it's pretty sweet. I'm glad everything worked out well, and there you go, it's working properly. Alright guys, I just want to show you this last step. As you guys seen earlier, I did wire brush this, and I just want to go ahead and use some others and show you guys how great this stuff works. And I use this pretty much on everything that's metal. It gets rid of that oxide, and it leaves like this protective wax layer on it after you're done. So as you guys can see, so I'm gonna go ahead and clean this real thoroughly and try to polish it as much as I can. There was some kind of like grime, some real thick stuff stuck on there. I don't know if that was some kind of mice droppings or just, I don't know what it was, but I'm just gonna go ahead and polish it real nice, get it nice and clean. When you're dealing with these old cars have that old car smell or old car odor, and that's basically just from having these old parts, you know, just collecting dust and grime throughout the years. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish this up, and I'm obviously gonna polish these up right here too with like a wire brush and clean them out, make sure they're nice and clean, double check the wiring, make sure they're not cracked. These parts are out, so you might as well. This is working perfect. The light bulb wasn't working earlier. I took it out, cleaned the edges, now it's working perfect, but I am gonna swap it out. You might as well. This, like I said earlier, it ain't easy swapping out these light bulbs when you have the whole dash hooked up to it. So I'm obviously gonna swap these out and clean all this up inside and out. As you guys can see right here, it's a little dirty, and I don't know if this is a part number, but there's a, what's that, 770G. So it's pretty interesting. As you start working on these little tiny parts, you start seeing part numbers, and you know, it's a good way to if you're trying to source these parts out, and you know, you need a reference. Sometimes these things will give it away here. You just type it up and maybe get lucky and find them. But there we go guys, there you have it. Everything's working great. It's working perfect the way it should. And now we could go ahead and store these and finish up the other control knobs. I want to take one video at a time for each set of control knobs, like the clock and the radio and all that stuff. So this is done. I'm gonna store it away and finish up all the other parts and put everything back together as one whole unit. So there you go guys. Thanks for watching. Just make sure you guys hit that like button, and if you guys have any questions, just go ahead and comment. All right, thanks for watching.